The Nissan Altima has always stood out to me as somewhat of a strange sedan, especially the most recent models with their strange wheels, strange window switches, and floating roofline. It's definitely got an unusual look to it, but unusual doesn't mean bad. We're going to be taking a look at this 2020 Nissan Altima SV coming in at around $31,000. A big thanks to Dark Cars Nissan, especially Arthur and Abraham, for letting us take a look at this Nissan Altima. And if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel for weekly car reviews. All right, now let's get into it. Starting here at the front of the vehicle, there's nothing that strange or unusual right here. You don't really have any sharp body lines in your hood. It's rather soft. Looking down here, you just sort of have these hexagonal shapes in your grille. You have a really big grille. It really dominates the front of the car. You have a big Nissan badge right here submerged under a layer of plastic. That's where your safety system sensors are. You then have this big chrome U. This is sort of Nissan's corporate face, and the U gets bigger and bigger each generation, and also gets bigger depending on the car. This U, for example, is much larger than the Nissan Versas to my left. You do have a little bit of interesting bodywork down here that juts out, but nothing too much other than that. One other thing to note about the U, it merges nicely with the headlights right here. Cole was pointing this out to me earlier. It has just a nice merge right there. I like how that melds together. Now, speaking of your headlights, this car is really the only one that's given us issues when we try to film the front with the headlights on. Typically, we just turn on the headlights in the vehicle and we film out front. But this one gets very angry when we do that if we don't turn the engine on. And I'll let you get a listen. It will beep at us very angrily, and then it'll shut the lights off pretty quickly. So you can hear that beep right there. But let's talk about your headlights and how they look while they stay on. You did see it's pretty bright outside, so they're not going to stick out a whole lot, but I like how they have these arrow shapes pointing in towards the center, and they have a little bit of chrome on those arrows. I think that's a really sharp look, and I like how it points to the center at this big grille, which really dominates the front and really just takes up the whole space. A good looking front end, nothing too unusual here, but let's move to the side. Looking here at the side of the vehicle, this is where some strangeness starts to occur. First of all, if you look at this wheel, this black space right here is not actually empty. For some reason, they put like black painted metal there. I'm not sure what the reason is behind this. Cole thinks it looks like his Civic, and I do see the resemblance now I think about it. It's kind of a strange look, but these rims are starting to grow on me and him just a little bit. Moving over, you have these chrome door handles. They're kind of an interesting shape. You know, if you think of traditional car door handles, these kind of come to a point at the end, which is interesting. Just again, these are like unusual things that you don't typically see too much. Like strange door handles are common, but not just like differently shaped door handles. Now, here's a cool feature about the side, the body lines. You have two fading body lines. One starts strong up front and fades as you get close to the back. And then there's another one here at the back that starts in this taillight and fades as you get close to the front. That is a neat look. I do like that. This car does have a floating roofline. For those of you that have seen any of our reviews with other vehicles that have floating rooflines, you may know that I am not a fan. Cole is a fan and he does like it. I don't think it looks terrible in this black, and I will give Nissan credit for painting this at least a glossier black so it looks like it is real glass back here, because sometimes automakers will just leave this like scratchy black plastic and it doesn't look real at all and it just looks cheap. This is well executed. So it's really not a bad looking side. It's actually growing on me as I look at it more. It's just unusual from what we've come to think of from a sedan. And looking at the back of the vehicle, there isn't too much going on here. You do have a nice little lip to your trunk. Speaking of your trunk, you do have 15.4 cubic feet of cargo space in here, so that's not terrible. Closing that and looking down, you have this kind of honeycomb material right here, which is kind of interesting. But then below that, you have some little bumps. I'm not sure if they were trying to mimic a diffuser or something, kind of odd. Then you have your exhaust. Your exhaust are one small pipe with a larger chrome tip going around it. Now that's odd, but the reason they do this is so that you don't get all sorts of like just smudgy black gook all over your nice exhaust pipe. It all stays on that smaller pipe inside. Looking at your taillights right here, I'm not a big fan of these taillights. They're not well integrated together, really, in my opinion. They just kind of look very separated, not well integrated. Not a fan of that, but that's not a huge complaint. Now, you might be able to see a lot of reflections in this paint looking at it, and that's because this isn't just black paint. This is super black paint, or at least that's what Nissan named it. Under the hood, you will find a 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder cranking out 188 horsepower and 180 pound-feet of torque. You can expect about 28 miles to the gallon city, about 39 highway for 32 combined MPG. That's routed through a CVT transmission, and for those of you that don't know, Nissan has had some problems with their CVT transmissions. There have been some reliability issues reported with those, so that's something you'll want to keep in mind. One interesting thing to note about this engine bay is this was the easiest engine bay to open. Sometimes you gotta like really feel around here after you pop the hood to find the release, but this one was nice and easy. You just push up on this yellow tab and it opens up. Just something to note.
So stepping into the interior of this Altima, overall interior impressions are okay. You do have a good amount of hard plastic, but you do have some nice leather surfaces. You have some nice leather on top of your dash here. You have nice leather seats, very soft. Honestly, these may be one of my favorite leather seats I've ever been in, and they also have really cool perforation designs, kind of a wavy, kind of C type vibe to them. That is very cool. But unfortunately, that is the best part of this interior, in my opinion. Besides that, you do have some nice cool wood trim here, but in my opinion, it's kind of tacky. It has like weird lines through it. I don't like it that much. Jake liked it a good amount, but I like other wood grain that looks a bit more realistic. You do have some nice kind of chrome silver lining around here, around your shifter, and on the sides by the door handles. And you do have some nice stitching along here. Now, this steering wheel is leather, but it is the hardest steering wheel I have ever felt. It is just so hard. It's not grippy. It's just really awkwardly smooth. I do like how it has a flat bottom, but honestly, at the same time, that's kind of weird because it's a Nissan. It's not a race car. You know, race cars have the flat bottom steering wheel. I don't know why they decided to put that in a Nissan, but besides that, you know, everything is okay. Now, just continuing along with overall interior impressions and kind of just how stuff feels. A really weird quirk we found were these window switches. They are so strange. I like how, you know, you have that soft armrest, and then there's an incline where you can put your hand, but at the same time, these window switches are so unsatisfying to click. They're like clunky and weirdly shaped, and the ones on the front have an A for automatic. And if I'm buying the car, I don't want to look at that weird, gross-looking A the whole time. I know they're automatic. I've already used them 500 times. I don't know why they did that. We found that kind of funny. Some other things, these look very nice, your knobs, but they don't feel nice. They're kind of wobbly around. It's not like some nice quality. Obviously, you're not going to expect fantastic quality from a maker like Nissan versus automaker like Audi, but I would expect a little bit more stability and maybe a bit more texturing. It feels really loose and just not that great to touch. I wish they did that a little bit better. But besides that, overall, everything does look very nice. So I'm going to start talking about some of the storage spaces in here. You have your usual kind of side pocket in here. Normally you'd put kind of keys in there or something. And then going down, you have a interesting shaped cup holder. It's kind of short. You know, they kind of have an indent in the door for like a circular kind of cup, which is nice. So you can probably fit at least like 5 or 6 juice boxes in there. And then coming along to the side, even before it, you have a bit more space, and it's pretty deep. Something that's not deep is this glove box. It is, you know, it's very small. I mean, this is a sedan. You want more space than this. Obviously, it's not an SUV or something, but like, come on. This, you know, in Honda you can kind of slide it around, but this, no, it's just kind of 2 spots. It's just a little bit cheap, you know. Moving on here, you have 2 cup holders here with just, you know, they're basic. It's 2020. Cup holders need to have that little thing that sticks out that you push down so it fits smaller cups. Your smaller cups are just they're gonna whack around, they're gonna fall over, and they're gonna, you know, fall on your girlfriend like Jake here. Another thing, this storage space here is so small, and they have all this empty space near the cup holder. Why could they not dig this out more and make it a L-shaped storage space for more storage? Instead, they just have this tiny here and then this piano black that's just gonna get dirty and not look nice. I don't really understand why they did that. Now, because this is the SL trim, you do get some nice features. You get a heated steering wheel, heated seats, and then again, Nissan hits us with some weird stuff. 2 levels to the heated seats. Come on now. We always like 3. 3 is the nice spot. I mean, but to be honest, this makes more sense. You never have your heated seat control on the middle one unless you're weird. Moving down again, you just have some basic climate control shown here. I like this feature here where it's kind of the mix between, you know, your buttons and then a digital view. We see this on a lot of cars nowadays. It looks really sleek, and Nissan did it very well. Moving up, you have a very weird infotainment. Off of first glance, it doesn't look that great. Something from like 2010 maybe. This is a 2020 car. Sweeping over, it's, you know, it's decently fast, not great, but for some reason the colors change when you go from different stuff. It's just kind of clinky looking. It's not that intuitive. I don't know why they have this clock here. Maybe like if you could, this is your home menu, you could just customize it to different things. Kind of nice, but you have some interesting things like map, you know, decently responsive once it loads for the first time. You know, not much to complain. It's you know, some basic navigation. There are some funny quirks though. If you go over here into this basic kind of screen here, you have stocks and you have fuel prices. You even have sports scores. These were all interesting. We wanted to try something funny, so we went to the stocks and we put in the Nissan. We did this about 15 minutes ago, and it is still loading the stock. I don't know how long it takes for the information of the stock to get on this Nissan. Maybe it doesn't want to show us the Nissan stock because maybe it's not doing too hot. I don't know. Just putting that out there. But, you know, a funny, you know, infotainment. Very responsive, to be honest, but, you know, not that great looking and kind of quirky. So going over some more features, this does have a moonroof, which is very nice. Honestly, I like the manual control better than automatic. Automatic takes so long. I'd rather just go boom or boom. Very nice. Some interesting quirks we have here is this minus. We're not quite sure what it is. We haven't seen it before on any shifter. It's not like it's a plus and a minus where like you could manually shift your gears. I'm not sure what that is. And then also here, Jake, if you could kind of get it above the parking, there's this square. And it doesn't even fit the same material. It doesn't push. I don't know what that is or why they included it. Just a little bit confusing. And then one more quirk is this glove box going along with this empty storage space. You open it up, and instead of using this and that side for more storage, they bring it in. So they just limit it. And now it's a tiny glove box when it could have been a big glove box. Why did they do that? What was the point? I don't understand. So looking at your instrument cluster here, you have some analog gauges, which I kind of like because they are nice and clean, you know, very easy to read. This is your center screen here. I do like it because, you know, it shows that compass there, kind of a clean look, very clear miles per hour, and then it just shows you if your audio is on or off. If it was on, it would show you the artisan, what song you're playing. It also shows you your oil temperature there, your fuel, you know, how much you have till empty, and just stuff like that. Very simple, very clean, and I dig it. Also at the top there, it shows you the speed limit, which is very helpful. I've seen that feature on some luxury cars, so it's nice that Nissan includes that. And you also have time and temperature. So very clean, very helpful. It gives you the information you want. Coming down one more, this is just another configuration for your home screen. You can have it showing your average speed along with your speed. And then one more down is just a minimalist design. If you want to just go for just a simple analog look and that's all you want, you can do that. And I like how Nissan allows you to. Moving over to just your different settings, you have your fuel economy with this kind of interesting gauge here showing you along kind of like a timeline. One more time, you have your trip, how long it took, the distance. Again, this is your compass, kind of neat. It also shows you the weather a little bit over here on this side. Right now it is sunny, but a little bit of partly cloudy, so that's kind of funny that it includes that. One more over, your audio, of course. This is just some safety features that right there shows you how they're working and such. And then moving over, you just have some basic vehicle settings, you know, very normal. This is a very straightforward instrument cluster. I really like the way they did it. One of my favorite parts of the interior. So now that we're in the back seat of this Altima, you do have very, very good legroom. One of the best we've seen in the sedans we've reviewed so far. You do have this nice soft leather as before. Even in the center here, sometimes you don't get the soft leather, you kind of get a hard hump, but no, it's super soft, super plushy. I like that they did that. It's really nice leather in this Altima, which is surprising. Again, you have that perforated leather design throughout the seats. Once more, in the back, you do have, your soft armrests again. You do have your little wonky feeling window switches. I like how on both armrests, it has the spot for your forearm, and then it kind of has the spot for your hand where it rests above instead of just flat. It's kind of nice to just have it there. At the same time, a weird design flaw on both the front and the back seats. There's piano black along where your hand would be. That makes zero sense because piano black gets so dirty from fingerprints, and it's literally asking you to put your fingers there. Kind of a weird design. I think that's the design flaw by Nissan there. Putting down your back center console, you have some just weird looking cup holders, honestly. They have kind of a square feel and then it like rounds in. They must be drinking juice boxes. I don't complain though. Juice boxes are the official drink of gas guzzlers everywhere. So, respect. Thanks for Nissan looking out for us juice box drinkers. Overall, you have nice vents. That's nice to see that you actually have vents in the backseat of sedans. Sometimes you don't see that on the cheaper trims. But besides that, overall, solid backseat. So wrapping up this review of the 2020 Nissan Altima, it's a little bit lackluster. We can kind of see how Nissan sales have been plummeting a bit recently because overall, it's an average looking exterior. Nothing's that dramatic or great looking about it. The interior is a bit average as well. And, none of the features are groundbreaking. We just reviewed a Hyundai Sonata for $30,000. That was, far better than this car, in my opinion. For $5,000 more, from this car, you could get a Hyundai Sonata that parks itself, and that has way more features than this. Even other cars like the Honda Accord just kind of blow this out of the water. So overall, a bit lackluster. We tried to give it a fair review, but hopefully Nissan's future is brighter than its former CEO, who is being filed for tax fraud and is currently running away and trying to escape the government. Like and subscribe. I hope you have a great week.